So I want to sort of get started this year. This is a new year, maybe, but me, this is the year where hindsight is actually 2020. And a lot of people are thinking back, right? What are we doing? We're thinking back. We're retrospecting. We're thinking back on the year before. Anybody thinking back on the year before? Put in a chat what you're thinking back on the year before. What do we got, Marcelo?
Matt's trying not to think about 2020. I was thinking that, hey, 2019 actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
It was a great year.
Okay. So to me,
well, I was going to say, I mean,
what do you think?
we had some challenges, of course. I mean, there's a whole big thing, nothing anybody was expecting. But, we came together and, all of us have gotten through it. And so that's something to reflect on,
Are you running for office?
I think so. But no, seriously, I mean, it was a tough year. I mean, and then a lot of people had a lot of issues, a lot of things going on, a lot of big things, and we survived it. We're here now to talk about it. So that's good.
Yep. I'm looking forward to being on a lawn chair for 10 hours to when I get my vaccine. How about other people?
I think a couple of positives came out of it, actually.
Uh-huh.
I think we kind of slowed down a little bit, which has been great, and reassessed all of the things that we were spending money on that maybe we realized not important.
Yep. So maybe we take the time to reevaluate, what are priorities in life? What are our values? What do we want to invest our time and money in?
Yeah.
Who do we want to spend time with?
Yeah, exactly. I think for many of us, 2020 was the year, Leon, where we said, yeah, these folks that we call our family, maybe they're not so bad to hang out with after all.
Yeah. Well, and on the flip side, I travel a lot. So, my wife really enjoyed me being home until she didn't. So now she wants me to start traveling again.
And you go leave the house.
Yeah, she wants me actually to do a commute. She said, why don't you practice commuting? But for me, I feel like 2020 is not over yet. I think nothing in my life has indicated to me it's a new year. Yeah. Nothing. I didn't go to a New Year's Eve party. I drank 2.5 bottles of Prosecco. My wife had the other 2.5 because we had it in the refrigerator and we had to get rid of it, right? It was New Year's Eve. So to me, nothing had, Christmas wasn't the same. Nothing indicated to me that it was 2020 or that it was 2021. I can't even say it. I'm like, I think I'm in 2019 still. I don't know. So maybe I'm stuck in 2020. Anybody stuck in 2020? Anybody? Is it just me?
No, I mean,
I'm stuck on.
Just you.
It's really bad. I got a couple of COVID cases in the family, close.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been a couple of weeks, actually 3. My elder brother, his son, and his daughter-in-law.
Yep.
And so it's kind of sad,
Yep. And I think, and so for a lot of people, we may have not gotten over 2020.
Yeah.
So I just want people to think about, so today, does someone else want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say my wife and I worked very consciously to create a rite of passage or ritual to end the year, go back through, celebrate what successes we had, celebrate and start setting out basically a new game plan for where are we going next. And so for us, there was that transition, but we had to be very conscious about it this year. Otherwise, it would not have happened. So it's one of those where you carry project management into your life and you carry Scrum into your life rather than just around project. It's around really getting everything that you care about done.
Yep. So so I wanted this New Year's the first meetup of the new year to really be interactive, and I want people thinking about the new year, reflecting. So the theme of this is kind of like reflecting, but I wanted to tie it to Agile, and I want to tie it to the date today's date. And I wanted to relate to Epiphany. I got inspired by Epiphany. So who can tell me what is the Epiphany or an Epiphany? Anybody?
Other than the definition that you have on the screen?
A moment
Yes,
of
other than the
sudden.
definition. I only have one definition.
It's kind of that aha moment, right?
Aha moment. Yes, that's good. What are those three people on camels doing?
They're bringing me my gift I got this morning.
Yeah, are they?
Whoa, they're a little bit early there, Ray.
No.
Up there. Yeah.
6th January. It's the day, baby.
Calendarily, it is. Depending on your religious affiliation, we're a bit early.
Okay, for my religious affiliation and from what mommy used to do, today's the day.
Yep. So I think, but it's interesting, right? So we got the three kings. So I love all the three kings, and I wanted to think about taking this day, Epiphany, and thinking about Agile Epiphanies, and sort of combining Epiphanies, Agile Epiphanies, and reflection. And reflection on the past year, but also reflection about our relationship with Agile. Kind of that's what I wanted to really talk about today. And I had some questions to sort of kick it off. So what I want to be able to have folks do as we're talking about these questions, I want you to be offering up stickies. We're going to have a Jamboard, and we're going to expand upon some of these epiphanies that we're having. Okay. So I want to, I put the Jamboard link in.
Is it intended to be read-only?
No, it is not. So let me put the,
Let me send you the link. Don't worry about it, Coach. I got you.
Okay. All right. So what I would like folks to do is go ahead and answer the question, what interested you about Agile in the first place? Think back to when did you get interested? When did you notice it? What was that like? What was that about? Okay, so let's take another minute, and then I want folks to talk about some of these things. I'm trying to group them a little bit when I can. Yeah, so here's servant leadership. Somebody left a copy of Manifest go on my desk. Okay, so I think we're kind of winding down a little bit. So a couple people put servant leadership in here. On the upper left, I'm seeing servant leadership, empowering the team, servant leadership. I was actually doing Agile before they said it was. Then it became project manager. So then we're told about, so talk to me about servant leadership. How does Agile and servant leadership interact? Who wants to talk about that? So for folks that put servant leadership up, who would like to discuss that a little bit more?
So I put that up.
Okay.
To me, servant leadership really is doing whatever you can to help the team be successful. And that's really, to me, a lot of what's involved in Agile is guiding your team, helping them resolve issues, working with them to be self-managing, you know, to be able to be a high-performing team, and helping them, guiding them to be able to do that. So, you know, servant leadership is crucial to being able to do those things and really help the team and the business to be able to solve, you know, and deliver successful projects.
So, but from me, can you expand a little bit more on the link between Agile and servant leadership? Like when you talk to execs or managers about Agile and servant leadership, what are some of the things that you might say?
For executives?
Or executives or managers, any people leaders?
Well,
anybody?
for executive or managers, really, it's really determining what their pain points are. You know, what
Okay.
are they trying to accomplish? What's the goal? Where's the vision? And help them, you know, drive and help the team to get there, so that, you know, the customers are happy, they're getting successful products. You know, so it's really kind of marrying those things together.
Okay.
Between the team and the business and the
Thanks,
customers.
Joe. So also there's a group here. I'm trying to group them a little bit. We have versatility, less risky, simplicity. Somebody left a copy of the manifesto on my desktop, and I love the simplicity. Inspired by the concept of transparency, customer centricity. I sort of grouped all those together because they have a Y at the end. So, so who wants to talk about the attributes of Agile? Versatility, risk, simplicity, customer centricity. Who wants to talk about those? So who put a sticky up on those areas, like to speak about that, expand on it?
I added the sticky about transparency. I was working in a department that really you had to fight to get information. So when my leadership came to us and says, we're going to start doing Agile, it was right after, I'm like that other person. I was kind of doing it and didn't know it. It was right after I was leading a team, bringing in everybody early for the requirements gathering. And that helped stop pulling the teeth. So, you know, the transparency part was like, got you, I'm there, 100%.
Okay.
So,
other folks, anybody in that cluster? Versatility, less risky, more simplicity, transparency, customer centricity. Anybody else put a sticky up for those? Wants to expand on it?
Yeah, I put versatility. To me, it applies to a lot of situations, and we go to SAFe with business agility. And even I use agility at home. I did a agile incremental delivery of my mailbox when I rebuilt my mailbox. And so it works all over. When we have our work day at churches, we were using Scrum. Before I even knew what it was, we would get together, decide what we're going to do, see how everybody's doing. So it was doing everything incrementally and collaborating. So that's why I put versatility there.
Yep. The next grouping is being more productive through collaboration, team versus individual, the collaborative nature. Who wants to expand on the collaborative nature of it, collaboration, team versus individual? Anybody? You got 3 stickies down in the bottom.
I put team versus individual.
Go ahead, Gina.
Sure. So I came from traditional waterfall and transition. So I can actually see the difference between individual heroes, people that, you know, they thrive on just working individually and getting rewarded individually versus a team environment, right? So, you know, more people working together is more successful than one person. And I've actually seen that. I've actually seen that transpire, and I see how successful, you know, when it works really well.
Yeah, Yeah, I could piggyback on that too.
Yeah, go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, for me, I started with a team that they were using that, and it was really kind of interesting, kind of coming from more of a individual contributor all the time to where you're talking amongst your team and they're offering ideas and suggestions. And some of those things really save you so much time because they've maybe been down that path you're starting to go down. And I found that to really be more productive. That was one of the more productive aspects to me.
Mm-hmm. The next grouping is at the top: first reaction, aggressive management, eventually certified common sense. Introduced by my leadership, when my manager said to me. All the cool kids were talking about it. So you heard it from somebody else. Anybody that put those 4 stickies up there, one of those wants to expand on that.
I wrote first reaction, aggressive management, eventually certified common sense. I was thinking people were not thinking ahead, and they just want to show something, and they just want to grab the low-lying fruits,
Yep.
So I'm saying that's stupid, or that's foolish. So that's why I felt like, okay, what are they trying to achieve? So that's why I put it aggressive management. And eventually, when everything, I witnessed everything, and I said, well, they're talking about somebody got this certificate, that certificate, making a big drama out of it. So I said, well, it's all about certified common sense.
Okay. Anybody else want to talk about, you heard it through the grapevine? Okay.
I actually got introduced.
Yeah, go ahead, Godwin.
Yeah, I actually got introduced by a customer, kind of, long time ago when I sold cars, and he come around and I asked him, like, you ask people, what do you do? Where do you work? What line of job you're doing? And he said he's a project manager. And he said, but then that he's kind of transiting between, his company is transitioning to Scrum. And I'm like, what's that? So he gave me that 10 minutes on YouTube to watch. And he said, when he comes back the next time, we'll talk about it. And so by the time he comes back next time, I was the one talking about it to him. So that was how I was introduced to it.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I would love
go ahead.
I would love to hear about the person who said someone left a copy of the
on the desktop.
Yeah.
Yeah, who did that? Who wants to talk about that?
I don't want to talk about it, but it's me.
It was probably Rick.
No, it's Tony, actually.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where we were working on a project and everything was I work in medical, everything was extreme waterfall, and like we were so far behind, and so it was just a very difficult time. And I asked a question, so is there some way that we can make this such that we can like get into a repeatable cycle of actually releasing things on time? And then the next day it was on my desk. So
that's better than Amazon.
Yeah.
Still don't know who did it.
Right? You're gonna go, like, you're gonna be still thinking about it, right? How long ago was it?
5-6 years ago.
Exactly. You'll be 5 years from now, you'll be thinking about it, still thinking. All right. Next grouping is systems modeling, all systems working better together, not delivering value, going over budget, the how to be a better way, creation of a workflow that encompasses all stages of what we're doing. This is kind of like Agile optimizes things. Who wants to talk about those 3 stickies? Any one of them?
I can talk about the one not delivering value, going over budget.
Yep.
So for me, I had my own company, late 90s, early 2000s, developing a web platform. And yeah, we kept going over budget, weren't really delivering anything, doing the whole upfront planning, 6 months of requirements. And so when it wasn't working, I said there had to be another way and just dove into the internet, came across Agile and Scrum, and for me, a light bulb just went off. I'm like, this makes so much more sense, and haven't looked back.
Yep. Thank you for sharing. And then the next one was, the next grouping, last grouping here, was empowering the people who do the work to have a say in what, when, and how, people over process, and then empowering and allowing folks to bring on ideas, outside the box thinking, and innovation. So kind of the people aspect of Agile. For those three stickies, anybody want to expand on that?
Well, two of those are mine, so I guess I should speak up. Yeah, so I grew up in the 60s wanting to be a revolutionary, change the world, power to the people. And by the time I got old enough, disco was in. So I've been looking my whole life for an opportunity to really make a difference, and that's what I've been doing every chance I get with people. So that's what drew me. It was and having been a developer and majored in a large corporation for 25 years, and the number of times where we knew what needed to be done and nobody would listen, nobody would even ask, and we'd end up doing the death march to failure, and we knew what was coming, and we just did it anyway to get the paycheck. So having the opposite of that was just that the light bulb went off for me too as well. Maybe that's why neither of us have any hair on top of our heads. That really that lit it for me. So that was it.
Yep. All right, and so what I want to do now is thank you for all of that. I think that was really good. Gave some good context. I want to move to Jamboard 3. So let's all move to the next frame, Jamboard 3. Go to the top there, and the next question is, when did Agile become real to you? So you were introduced to it, you were interested in it. Then when did it actually become real? And don't just give me the year. Give me like what happened, like what changed. What did you notice? So if everybody could jump to Jamboard 3, 3 of 6 on the Jamboard, to just click the little button on the top there to go to the right, and go grab a sticky and start adding that. All right, so when did Agile become real? It's difficult, a little bit more difficult to group some of these. I want to start on the left-hand side. So some stickies here that we started actually having a stand-up and reflection meetings that I was a part of. And someone said also, when my team had our first retrospectives and people were not open. So talk to me about Agile becoming real to you regarding retrospectives and reflections. There's two stickies at the top left.
Yeah, that was me. And, going through training.
We're losing your
Feeling that we've all sat together or what didn't go well. I felt everybody would be open and we'd just have a very good discussion. Unfortunately, nobody spoke.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Myself worked up over nothing because I just felt like since we've had a very good 2 weeks, we should all just come here and put the deadline out there. But then I was just so confused. Nobody said a word. And so it took me a little while to understand the dynamics.
Okay. I think you're breaking up a little. You're breaking up a little bit, Godwin, but I think we got most of the. I think I got most of the gist of that. The next grouping a little bit is about value. When we started delivering value, on a cadence, when client could no longer deliver competitively. So who had those in the bottom left-hand side? Talking about value, competitiveness, like competition.
Yeah, the blue one on the bottom left was mine, and it was eye-opening in that the way, the transparency, the daily meetings, and everybody is working together to deliver value. It was the feeling of we succeed and we fail together, but we work together and we deliver together. And everybody had the same values, and we knew what the values were. And it was just, you know, the Ubuntu. I just felt that I could define myself by the team.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ray.
Yeah, when we started, you know, we kind of broke things down, and we actually, you know, you kind of like had something you're going to get done that day. You know, even if it's just one thing, that I think that feeling of accomplishment and the team, you know, it's like we're making progress. We checked something off. We really did it. You know, it's like we're moving. We may be going slower than we thought, but we are moving.
Yes,
that was a good thing.
Yeah, and I think exactly. Like it was a real thing. It wasn't. I am 54.5% complete with whatever deliverable I'm working on. Right.
Right.
Where it wasn't real. Who put down, it was a rainy Tuesday and I realized the team was self-managing and I wasn't needed?
Yes. That was me.
All right, you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, essentially it's kind of what everybody's saying, you know, the team is delivering, they're working together as a team. It's like you come in there and, you know, you're trying to, you know, help each other, but one day you're out or you're late to a meeting and things are happening without you. And you're like, wow, this is great. You know?
Yep.
Things are coming together. So that's when it's like, it's just a proud moment to reflect on that. And yeah, that's when.
Are there a lot of people that feel like they have to be involved in the process, otherwise the process will break down? The company can't survive without me. I could not answer some very basic questions from the developers who deserved answers.
I did, senor.
Do you want to expand on that, Ray?
Yeah, so that comment on the previous page where it said my manager told me I wasn't going to be attending a class, it was on Scrum practices. So the person who was teaching the class for a day was practicing Agile. What is it? Being Agile versus
doing Agile.
Doing Agile. So the person taught us how to do Agile back in 2011. And 2012 was a bunch of failures. And we couldn't figure out a bunch of things. And it was like, either I wasn't paying attention in class or the person who was teaching the class didn't know what the hell they were doing. So we got a copy of the Scrum guide. That was, I forget what year the Scrum guide was, the revision. And we started to read it and it was like, oh, inspect and adapt.
Yep.
That's why the hell we do the daily Scrum. Oh, transparency, inspect and adapt. That's why the hell we do the retrospective. So it started to become more real to me. We still had no freaking idea what Agile Manifesto was.
Sure.
Back in 2012. That came because somebody said in 2013, are you delivering value? I was like, what?
Yep.
Are you delivering value? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
And they said, why don't you read the 2001 version of the Agile Manifesto? I said, well, is there another one? He said, no. No.
There's a 2002 version. Look up the 2002 version.
Yeah. So he said, there's a DOC from 2005. Don't read that one. I'm talking about the Agile Manifesto, February, Utah, and the fellows at the SNOT. So that's when it became real to me, when we started to understand what those 12 principles were, what those values were. And as we kept falling on our faces, going back and trying to reinterpret what the frustration was that caused somebody to say, people people over process and tools.
Yep.
The best architects are the team, and I'm abbreviating, of course.
Yeah.
Continuous learning. Then that's when it became real to us. Then it started to make sense, and we started to become successful at it in 2013. But we became better at it in 2014 as we grew and we understood what were the real answers to the questions that the developers had. Like, why the hell are we doing this?
Yep.
We want to deliver value.
Asking about
So that was that.
Very good. Last one here. When I was hired to transform a small company, having to train leadership and the team made it real. Who wrote that one?
That was me.
Want to expand on that, Victoria?
Yeah. The first time I was introduced to Agile, it was brought to me by leadership, and they said, everybody who's a BA is going to become a Scrum Master. And then when that job was no more, the next job I found, I was partnered with another Scrum Master to go into a company that I'd never even heard of it. It was one person's idea.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have to embody it, walk it, talk it, believe it, show it, people are watching you, it's real.
Yeah,
it's real. So that was fun. We had to train leadership. We had to set up everything. We had to bring everybody in, help them understand what it meant to collaborate, what it really meant to not have a lot of documentation. They thought it meant nothing. So
of course,
it was actually a great experience.
Great. All right, so I want to move on to the next Jamboard. Let's move on to Jamboard 4. And we talked a little bit about the value, and I want to sort of expand on it. When did you realize the value of Agile? What happened? What scenario? Where was the aha about? Because we talked a little bit about value for the last question, but let's expand on that a little bit. When did you realize the value of Agile? Jamboard 4 of 6, 4/6. Problems start when you start answering yourself, you start asking questions of yourself. It's when it goes downhill. All right, so let's talk about this. Who wants to talk about when they incorporated it in their personal life? Who put that one?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did. I don't know if you want to hear from me again. I've been talking a lot.
Nope, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, as I said, I use it in, it helped me in a lot of aspects of my personal life. My hobbies, my workouts, my exercise, my spiritual life. Because it just, as I said, it's versatile, and it helps me understand incremental, iterative, and that applies in a lot of things. Like when you exercise, you don't want to go full blow. You do it, you increase, you improve it incrementally and iteratively.
That's right.
So it just applied. So.
Yep. From a team perspective, I got getting quick feedback and delivery from the team, feedback loop, business and IT collaborating, team notice the benefits. Who wants to talk about realizing the value of Agile from a team perspective? Who wants to talk about that?
I had one of those as well, but I've also talked a lot. Are you good with that?
Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm the large pink one with the team noticing the benefits.
Yep.
It's really good. And I think Joe said this earlier, when you come into a room and they're actually self-organizing, when you have the end of a sprint and you're in your retrospective and the team is like they're engaged, they're invested, they're excited to talk about, you know, what they can fix, what they can do differently, highlighting and celebrating the small wins. You kind of just sit back like a proud parent and just kind of smile, and you're like, yeah, they get it. And when they get it and they're invested, they want to know more, and they want to grow, and they want to learn, and they see the development in themselves, and they see the work moving through faster. They get better with their estimates. It's just all part of the culture. Getting them invested themselves personally, it does help.
Another person talking about the value of Agile through teams or teamwork.
I talked already as well, but I guess I'll talk again.
Go ahead, Gina.
So for me, it was the big shift with, you know, that friction between business and IT. Now they're coming together and working on a daily basis, and they're a team, you know, versus there are different departments before, and so that was a big, that was definitely a big value that I've seen.
Okay, and then anybody else want to talk about the value of Agile via teamwork?
Yeah, actually something, I mean, there's a lot of things I could talk about that, but there's something that I've applied recently. You know, I'm always looking to experiment and to try new things and to see if things and how they'll play out. So the new Scrum guide says, you know, that the daily stand-ups should be really about the goals, you know, and what we're doing to achieve those goals. That bring the team toward that vision and get commitment and within the sprint. So I've been, you know, I haven't been asking, you know, what did you do yesterday? What story are you working on, or where's this at? I'm like, okay, where are we at in terms of what we're trying to accomplish as, you know, this goal? And it's to me, I found it so much better actually, things, because now they're focusing on like, okay, I've done this, I have this problem, and now let's get through it. And it's kind of bringing the team together a little bit more and maturing them. So I thought that was a good thing recently.
Yeah,
that I've
of
done.
course. I want to go to the sort of the center section now. When someone started asking, what is really the most important thing we could be doing?
That was one I put there. Yeah, we started, I don't know, in our group, we started, I could see when we started to plan the sprints and that question seemed to be the, you know, something that came out, and and if it changed, we were okay with it, you know, that, and I think that really helped focus towards what, you know, like you say, delivering value, because if you start to pick the most important thing, because there's always more to do than you could ever do. So.
Yep. Who put not speaking up?
I'm yelling at the laptop, and you can't hear me. I did. And it triggered a thought because I was reading the chat, and I think somebody was having a conversation where fear of speaking up for fear or reprisal. And I was thinking about that. I wasn't going to put anything, and then I realized, you know, I think that's when I realized the value. And it wasn't because I realized it. It was because the team realized you know, that principle that talks about, you know, the best architects, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And it was at that point when I said, you know, maybe these things make sense.
Yes.
And if this team is going to speak up, we're just going to be better at doing what we need to do. And that means we're going to be better at delivering what people expect of us. So that's when I realized, after, you know, a little over a decade of being a PMP and delivering 60-70% of what was being asked of us, which was like a culture shock when you start delivering 80%, 90% of what's being asked of you every sprint. Not me per se, but the people who are actually doing the work. So that's when I realized the value. And again, somebody had mentioned fear of speaking up in the chat, so I don't know if that person.
Yep. And then let's finish it up. many more projects we're completing, not canceling, or getting things done. Who'd like to talk about getting stuff done? Stop starting, start finishing.
Hey, Leon, real quick, I wrote the one about efficient and no time, which kind of relates, but.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's in the same area.
No problem. Just my experience was when typically we have meetings before Agile, then you kind of talk and you discuss. And I remember the Scrum Master or the person that leading the team basically cut me off and said, no, that's enough time. Tomorrow come more precise and be able to tell your story a lot better because you're taking way too long time. And that was a wake up. And I said, oh my goodness, what the hell's going on here? Listen, he said, he only got 15 minutes for 7 people.
Yeah.
And he was sending a signal that said, we got to be precise. We got to be to the point. Stop wasting time. And that was like, I like this. And then the next call was a lot better. And the next call was a lot better. And everybody got better at telling their part of their update. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Yes. Awesome. So we got a cartoon here. We're going full Agile here. You'll be very happy. Yes, you'll join our other Agile guy. And there's like, wait, you have one other Agile developer? And say, yes, but he has multiple personality disorders. It'll be like you'll be joining a huge team. And I don't think he's going to take the job just as well. The first guy used up all the ID badges. So, yes, multiple personalities. Let's move on to the last Jamboard, Jamboard 5. And I want to sort of end this where an epiphany, so we talked about sort of your journey through Agile. Can you go back to other non-Agile ways of working? Can you go back to other non-Agile ways of working?
This is Hector again. I can't. The way I was treated the first time, and that whole story that I just told, and I'm saying, wait a minute, this is great. And we don't have to have meetings for meetings. Every meeting, and you basically feel, I'll say, important because it's a top-down commitment that we had. And when the top is committed, this is the way we're going to do it because it's going to make us more efficient. And that whole 15, 20-minute stand-up calls where we were very precise, you could never go back because we never really got a lot done. This thing, man, when you put it up on the board and you start shifting things around and dragging things around, backlog, and what we're going to do today, what we're going to do tomorrow, who's working, how long do you think it'll take, and asking the team, everybody putting up fingers of 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I thought that was awesome. So I'll never go back to the old way.
Yep. And if you're putting either yes or no, if you want to sort of expand on that a little bit, why? So if you ask yes, why? And if you ask no, why? Or why not? And thank you, Hector, for expanding on that. So for folks that, interesting, we got so far 3 different answers. So we're on Jamboard 5. Can you go back to other non-Agile ways of working? So who put definitely?
Yeah, that's me. That's the lead.
Go ahead, Dilla. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say probably about 30 or 40% of the work can be put it in the Scrum way of doing business. But because most of, I would say, good 50% of the chunk of the project has to be done straight away, and I can't really just say, okay, let's slice it and make sure it fits in 2-week sprint or 3-week sprint or 4 weeks. Can do that. I mean, yeah, I prefer having regular meetings, stand-up calls, efficient team management, project management.
Mm-hmm. And that sort of works out like a sprint. Then rehashing and just like we do in the retrospective. So for that reason, the projects mostly I work on is possible. I mean, some portions I can fit it in the sprint, but I can accommodate that kind of functionality or
benefit using my traditional, not very traditional, but not traditional ways in a way.
Okay. All right, so folks that put no, can do a blend or no, or I wouldn't know how to. Anybody want to talk about the no side of things?
I also believe that it can be blended. You don't have to use the word agile. You don't have to break out sprints. You can incorporate collaboration. You can incorporate the retrospective, the reviews. You can do all of that without using the word agile. Those practices, they transcend methodologies. And I'm the pink sticky, and I said that it's part of who I am. I've moved homes in the past 10 years twice using a Kanban board. And the last one, we actually used Trello, and my son kind of got a little mad at me for sending him an email invite. But it keeps you organized. It keeps things in small chunks without even thinking about it. So yeah, you can always use it.
Now let's go to the folks that did the consultant answer and say it depends. So so who put it depends, or we can go back as needed? Bob?
Yeah. Yeah, just basically looking at the Cynefin framework, if it's in the simple quadrant, I feel I don't, I mean, again, as someone said, I've embodied the principles, but those principles apply doesn't make it agile. So if you're in a simple quadrant of Cynefin framework, I would say you could do it with non-agile, and but there are certain things that you can get quality from, like retrospectives. You're always looking to improve, so you can have a continuous improvement process and be non-agile. So there are different things. Just
okay. And then a couple all the way in the far left, a major chunk of project that can't be split into small pieces, or you may have to if the team is not on board with Agile yet. So who offered up those two, or one of those two?
Put up one of those. You know, sometimes like, especially in software development, of course, the Agile method is very much used, but there are other parts of the organization, a large organization, that they are not necessarily ready for that. Management's not totally on board with it yet. And so you may have to kind of introduce it as you go and try to let them see the value of it. I've seen that in organizations where that one team's using it and all of a sudden it's like they're getting so much done. What's going on over there? And then the other teams start to want to try it too, but it's not always that way.
Yep. Other thoughts about this question, going back to working?
Yeah, I'd like to clarify something. The question was, can I go back? Yes.
Yes.
Would I? Maybe not.
Okay.
Again, I said I've probably embodied all these things. It just comes natural. So yes, I could go back to a non-agile. I'd probably bring along agile practices with me.
Sure.
Just
good point. Good point.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Even if I did have to go back, I would still say, well, you know, you can still, you know, do better on the team. It doesn't have to be completely, and you know, waterfall.
Yeah, good point. Good distinction between can and would.
Yes. So let's go to the last. So we'll finish off with this. Let's go to Jamboard 6 of 6. We'll do remember the future. Marcel, you set this up?
Yes, sir, I did.
You want to go ahead and take this part?
Sure, because everybody loves New Year's resolutions, everybody. So I figured with a little bit of time that we have remaining, we can go back to the future. And this exercise is literally called Remember the Future. And so the idea here is using what you've learned so far, consider for yourself for 2021, what kind of awareness and what that awareness inspires you to pursue for 2021. And since this is the internet, so that when we're here the first week of January 2022, and Leon's talking about Epiphanies for 2022, we can bring up this Jamboard and the things that you will see different because you did something different. Okay? So basically on the left is what awareness are you carrying into 2021 and what is it inspiring you to do? And then for 2022, what will you see different because of some actions that you are going to take? So
I like it.
Let's take a few minutes, reflect on that, and drop some sticky, folks.
So 2021 on the left, 2022 on the right.
Yep. And it'll be like, just like in the movie Back to the Future, it'll be our time capsule for January 2022.
So this is on frame 6. So not frame 7, frame 6. With the little Back to the Future picture. So if everyone could join that. Who wants to predict about 2021 and 2022? So let's end up by going. I really like I like all this, but I want to talk about showing kindness because I think you can do that in any year, but maybe especially this year. So let's all elaborate on that without writing stickies. So who wrote to show kindness, understanding, and love to each other? Who wrote?
I did.
So why is that needed? Why did you write that?
It just seems like I don't know. It seems like we're not coming together when usually we live in South Florida where we experience hurricanes, we experience flooding, and after those events, you see people come together.
Mm-hmm.
We understand we're all in the same boat. Some of us are more blessed than others, so we go out and help those that are struggling more than we are. I'm not seeing that as much in 2020, so I'm hoping that we, as the year 2021 comes on, we do understand our interdependence, and we also understand how blessed we are, especially being here in the United States of America. I can truthfully say there are billions of people that would gladly trade places with me in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how rough I think I am, no matter what crisis I think I'm going, there are a lot of people that are struggling a lot more, and maybe that will help me show kindness and understanding and love to others.
Yeah, that's just great sentiment, Bob. I'd like folks to put in the chat as we're wrapping up. How will you personally show kindness or demonstrate kindness in 2021? Go ahead and put that in the chat. And then Marcella, I'd like you to download the chat and we will capture that too. And Marcella, can you provide some commentary?
About which one of these things, because the one that really gets me is being mindful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the future really isn't promised, guys. What we have is now, and you know, that remember being mindful is really powerful, and focus on, well, maybe not just breathing, but that's good, you know, but focusing on where we are, why we're here, and what we're called to do. You know,
yeah,
regardless of what you do.
When I looked at this and you guys asked the question, that's the first thing that came to mind. So I'm like, I got to get that and put it up there. So yeah, it's really being in the moment. It's good to have goals and it's good to have vision, but let's not forget about, you know, where we're at and be mindful of that and and iterate. Like you guys are talking living Agile in your personal lives. That's what it's all about, right? That's being looking at right now. You're not looking at, 8 months down the road. I mean, you can do that, but don't forget about where you are and where you've come to. So that's why I put that there.
And I love Bob talking about how much we have in common, and I love talking about Paul, acting from your heart. It's so easy not to. It's so easy not to use one. I mean, we can't live without our heart. So it's thinking about that, actually using it.
Yeah. We find it very
I was
easy to
reading.
be offended, but we don't consider if we're offending.
That philosophy of breathing and mindfulness is all-time winner. I was thinking more in terms of like this 2020 we have COVID, and I was reading one of the article. So challenges for us or the people working remote are very unique. Now we don't see the people face to face, so we can't really see the facial expression very clear or the body movement. So we had to be very observing, and we had to be very good listener and very good communicator, of course.
So to me, with the way I interpreted that is that the question, how are you doing, took on a new meaning and importance. And it wasn't something that was a throwaway question. And so now I ask it, and it's not a throwaway question. And I'm paying attention to it.
I read recently to respond instead of reacting. You react without thinking, and then you usually regret reacting without thinking, but you respond to situations and you think, so you respond instead of reacting. And often too many times I react, especially when I'm driving on the Palmetto. I react too often instead of responding. And usually it's a single-digit reaction.
Yes. So I know we're at time, so I wanted to wish for everyone here, Transformation Experts, Marcelo, Nelu, everyone else, wanted to wish everyone a happy and healthy new year, even though I'm not still recognizing it. Let's we're capturing everything for 2022, I guess. Nelu, it's back to you.
Yeah. So the last thing we have to do is take the picture and just like the post, which is almost ready. Waiting for the pictures. I think I need for you to stop sharing, Coach, so I can take the full-on picture.
If I can do that. Or how about if I do it?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, can you see us all there?
I can see you all.
Nice.
All right, is everyone ready? 1, 2, 3, boom. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy
New Year.
Don't
Thanks,
forget,
guys.
Saturday morning, 8:30, 8 o'clock if you're nasty.
Keep safe.
See you here.
Bye.
Peace out.